What's going on, everybody? My name is Ben and welcome back to another episode of the Su-15 here on the NATO versus Warsaw Pact group build. We're moving forward today, guys. A little bit more work on the cockpit and on the fuselage seams. Let's go ahead and dive right on in. So last time we went ahead and overcoated all the little panel line seams with some superglue. That is nicely dried, very cured. We are ready to go ahead and start sanding those down. We also have to worry about the seams on the bottom side of the aircraft as well, though those will be hidden by the gun pods and whatnot, but I still want to go ahead and get those as clean as possible. We also have to go ahead and figure out what to do for scratch building on those wheel wells. We need to install the tail, the cockpit, the front wheel bay, as well as the little insert that goes over top of the cockpit. So lots of stuff to do. We also have worked a bit on the cockpit tub itself. We have the ejection seat more or less ready to go. We've got the gun pods ready for some fine tuning, and we've got the front nose wheel and the two main wheels. I want to go ahead and also work on the gun pods today. I want to get those guns installed, drill them out, and make sure we can get those looking a little bit better than they are. Also, the cockpit needs an overcoat of a nice matte finish, and I think we'll be ready to go ahead and push forward and get this cockpit more or less ready to go. So let's go ahead and cue up a quick time lapse. We're going to start here on the seams of the fuselage. Go ahead and iron them all out with some jeweler files and some sandpaper. Then we'll go ahead and see what else we can do. Let's go. So we are back and the wings are looking great. We've got the fences on there, but we're going to go ahead and turn our attention over to the seat. Now, I mentioned last episode I thought about maybe putting in some seatbelts. And to do that, well, I'm not really sure how to go about starting off. So what I've done is I went in and I grabbed another Su-15 kit that I've got in the stash. That's the TM version, and this is what I have in that kit. It is a photo-etched set by Edward, as you can see, for the Su-15 TM. This, of course, is not going to be used on this particular kit, but we do have a really nice template that we can go ahead and utilize for making our own seatbelts. And that's really what I want to go ahead and do. So with the photo-etched template, as well as the instructions here, we have a good idea of what exactly the seatbelts entail. Now, they're not going to be 100% accurate. Honestly, nothing on this kit is, so I'm not really too concerned about it being a little bit off, but this at least gives us a nice stepping off point where we can go ahead and put something there on the ejection seat to give it a little bit of interest and to make it look a bit more lived in and used. So that's really what I'm going for. So with the Su-15 photo etch here, we're going to go ahead and dive right on in and we'll see what we can do. Now, I've seen this technique done before on YouTube and on other modeling sites, and basically I'm going to make some seatbelts out of Tamiya tape and aluminum foil. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little strip of aluminum foil and we're going to stick some tape down right on top of that. Now, this isn't new aluminum foil. It's actually like the dregs of what I had lying around for, covering food and whatnot. So this isn't really the cleanest aluminum foil that I could find, but I'm just going to go ahead and try it out. Let's see what it does. So we'll go ahead and cut the end off here. We have basically one strip of aluminum foil with that tape right across the top of that. Now we're going to come in, we're going to slice off the excess aluminum foil, leaving just the foil with the tape in one piece. That's going to go ahead and give us one side of our belt. Now, I think the whole purpose in going ahead and using aluminum foil with this type of masking tape is that you get a belt that's a little bit more posable, malleable, and it's going to be able to be bent and kinked in different areas to look a little bit more like it's got some life to it. Sometimes the photo etch belts just really don't want to move very well, and they look a little bit static and unmoving. So now just one more piece of our Tamiya 10mm tape right down on top of this piece of aluminum foil, and I think we'll be ready to go ahead and just start making some belts. I want to make sure that this is nice and even though, so we're going to go ahead and have to kind of finagle it just a little bit to make sure we have everything nice and lined up. Now, in terms of color, I've actually been looking through my references and it looks to be a lot of the Russian seatbelts that I've seen at least tend to be a bit of a gray color, almost like a dark gray color. So I'm pretty sure we're going to be using some dark gray to go ahead and paint these belts, and that should give us what I hope at least to be a fairly decent looking bit of seatbelt. They're not going to be perfect. Like I said, nothing about this kit is going to be 100% accurate. So I'm not really too concerned about having these belts be a little off. It's okay. But now that we have this nicely stuck down, we're going to burnish it with the back of our hobby knife, and then we're going to go ahead and start getting down to actually making the belts. That should be kind of fun. But we don't just have seat belts, we actually have a few other pads and whatnot that the instructions here for the PE set actually show. So I'm going to go ahead and use some very thin styrene. I'm going to trace out a couple of these pads and I'm just going to cut them out of styrene. Then I'm going to paint them up and glue them down to the back of the seat. Shouldn't be all that difficult. The ones in the PE fret are much nicer, they're nicely scribed and they have some surface detail, but we're just going to go ahead and run it just a plain square, paint it up, we'll cover it with belts, it'll be fine. So let's go ahead and cue up time lapse, guys. We're going to push forward. I'm going to start painting up some of the seat here with a nice Tamiya red-brown. That looks to be about the right color from my references. And then we will see what we can do. We'll make those belts, make some buckles, paint them up, and well, we'll be done for the day. Let's do it. All right, everybody, we are back and we have our custom-made ejection seatbelts all nicely tacked in and glued down. I went ahead and I used a little bit of styrene to act as the clips and the buckles for the seatbelts themselves, and I think it looks fine. It's going to add a little bit of character, a little bit of excitement in there. From 3 foot, you're not going to notice any difference. Like I said, it's not accurate, but that's okay. Nothing about this kit is really 100% accurate, so I think we're just kind of moving along with that artistic idea of making it look a little bit better than it is. We've achieved that pretty well, so I am happy. But now we have to go ahead and figure out where to put the instrument panel in relation to the seat, how that's going to go into the fuselage, how that top fairing is going to fit down on top, and how everything's going to come together. So we are going to go ahead and call it quits for today. Next episode, we're going to come on back. We're going to try to install the entire cockpit tub down into the fuselage. We need to re-scribe some of our panel lines along the top of the fuselage and the bottom of the fuselage. Plus, we have to do a little bit more work there on the gun pods themselves. But until our next episode, you know the drill. Go out there, get yourself some bench time, have some fun, build something cool, and we'll see you back here on the next episode of the NATO versus Warsaw Pact group build. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you soon.